This is the thing I didn't really want to get to, but we're going to get to here on the show. Let's start with the good. I was clearly wrong about Bol Bol. And one thing I think people really enjoy about this show, and why I believe I do the numbers that I do oftentimes, is because I'm honest. I won't stand on a hill and realize that something's wrong and say nothing about it. Just continuously say, no, I'm right. You don't know what you're talking about. Bol Bol, I'm not ready to say he's a playoff rotational piece or he's going to be a star in the making. But Bol Bol, there is something there. And I've got to admit that I was wrong to some extent on Bol Bol. His ability to get to the rim, and one of the things that I didn't really love about him was defensively. He continuously is everywhere defensively. Getting his hands on balls, tipping them away, being able to block guys at the three-point line, chasing dudes off the three-point line. He's been downright impressive. Just absolutely impressive. And I think the biggest thing to that is why wasn't he starting sooner? And I'll get to more of that in just a second. But if you want a bright spot for this team, which is where I continuously say, the other day on Locked On Suns, someone was saying that I was being too negative, or Brendan was as well. And my whole thing is like, I've been saying for weeks on end, it feels like, it sucks right now, but this Suns team is not trapped. They're not going to go back to the early to late 2010s and be a team that isn't going to be taken seriously. They're not going to be a team that's winning 15 games every year and counting ping pong balls with whatever picks that they do own. Because here's why. Let me show you a lineup of Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Ryan Dunn, Bol Bol, Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen. Just because they lose Kevin Durant in this world of a new Phoenix Suns, it doesn't mean they're going to be awful. Now, are they going to be championship contenders? No, not at all. But those guys are young. And I do believe Bradley Beal as the second option is just different than Bradley Beal as the third option. I don't think it's crazy to say that team is a top 6 team in the West next year. They're not a top team in the West. I don't even think they're a Western Conference Finals team. And that ability to have those guys young, get your picks back in a Kevin Durant trade, it's not all but over for this Suns team. Bol Bol's a young guy. And this Suns team at some point will figure it out. So instead of just sitting on doom and gloom, I wanted to open it up, this Suns segment, with some bright spot. Because last night, he was just tremendous. And I made the argument last night. And it's crazy how some people don't understand what I'm trying to say. Bol Bol is not a true 5. I don't even think at times Bol Bol's a true 4. Obviously, with his size and his length, that's probably the case. But I got to be fair. Bol Bol might be the best big on this roster. And it frustrates me with this front office, which I think is the first clear indictment on this front office, is that they had a guy on their bench who was better than the alternative, Nurkic, Mason Plumlee, and they weren't playing him. And instead of playing him and using those assets for Nick Richards and other picks, on a wing, Dorian Finney-Smith comes to mind, they left him on the bench. And they went and got Nick Richards. And now Bol Bol is doubling up on Nick Richards' minutes. Yeah, he's not a true 5. But I don't know if Nick Richards is better at the 5 than Bol Bol is now. And then it also leads me to this, my final point of the show. People have continuously went after Mike Budenholzer and his ability to coach this team and why he has clear deficiencies running an offense or keeping a team together, leadership, whatever that may be. I think the first real indictment on Coach Budenholzer is just plainly this. He had a weapon on the bench. when this team was spiraling, and he didn't use him. Bol Bol has been a revolution for this team. Both from the three-point line, he's got a silky smooth touch from mid-range, especially on the baseline. Getting to the rim, big player, chasing dudes off the three-point line, playing stifling defense. He has been a revolution. And I'm not at every practice. Budenholzer is. He sees what Bol Bol has been doing. Why isn't he playing more? Being a head coach means being a talent evaluator. And Budenholzer, that is the first clear indictment of him. Seeing a guy like Bol Bol on the bench and Nurkic, who's playing right now, and you didn't see the clear difference between the two. I know Bol Bol's not a true 5. Just throw that out the window. Nothing on this team makes sense right now. Next year, sure, get a true 5, and we won't even discuss Bol Bol ever playing the 5. But small ball or whatever it is you want to go to, a team that runs the floor a bit. Last night, of course, Sandman, I agree with you, wasn't coaching. They just lost because the opposing team scored 150 points, which defensively, I kind of thought this is what we were going to get last night 4 months ago with this Suns team. I thought we were going to get a team that scores 148 points, but sometimes gives up 150, and I could have lived with that because offensively, that's how good they were. But it's so late in the season now where Budenholzer is just now really giving Bol Bol major minutes. And it's not like Bol Bol went up against the Wizards and like Nick Richards did in his first start. Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey are not easy tasks to go up against down low or to shake guys from the perimeter. So that right there is the first clear indictment of Budenholzer. I'm not going to go after him for everything because the Suns team has so many issues. But if you have a gripe with him, that's what it is. Letting a guy like Bol Bol, who's clearly talented, who has clearly taken a step up in his game, who clearly is looking for a spot in the rotation, and you didn't put him in the lineup. Instead, you let it roll out with Mason Plumlee, Yusuf Nurkic, and whoever you want to throw in there backing up Kevin Durant. None of it makes any sense. And it continues to go against the Budenholzer motto of nothing has really made a ton of sense with him. So if you want to have a clear indictment on Budenholzer and you want me to believe you, that's it right there. Seeing clear talent on his bench and not evaluating enough and saying you are as good or better than the players on the floor. We need a spark. Get in there.